Hi guys, Barbara the Bumblebee and I want to welcome you to Storytime with Aunt Amber today here on the farm. Now, it's been kind of a scary day because Larry the llama, he went to go and pick some flowers and he actually got lost and couldn't find his way. We were all really scared and we looked for him, and thank goodness we finally found him. But that was a scary thing to have happen. And we're going to have a story today where that happens to our friend Teddy Beddy Bear. And so go ahead and listen. But before you start the story, you want to make sure that when we come back, you have just a blank piece of paper and some crayons or a pencil or even some colored pencils so that we can do a fun project all together. Enjoy the story. The Day Teddy Beddy Bear Got Lost. Written by Avery, Slier, and illustrated by Morgan Incorporated. Bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam and Teddy Beddy Bear were going to the park to play. Adam pedaled his tricycle. Teddy Beddy rode in the little red wagon that Adam had tied behind it. The ride was so bouncy that Teddy Beddy had to hold onto the sides of the wagon very tightly so he wouldn't fall out. Teddy Beddy had never been to the park before. There were so many exciting things to do. They swung on the swings, slid down the slide, and climbed on the jungle gym. Soon Teddy Beddy was all tired out. "Time to leave," said Adam's mother. Adam helped Teddy Beddy get into the wagon. Then they started for home. Bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam pedaled down the sidewalk as fast as he could. Teddy Beddy bounced from one side of the wagon to the other. What fun he was having! Suddenly, bump! The wagon hit a crack in the sidewalk. Teddy Beddy flew through the air. Thump! Teddy Beddy landed on the hard sidewalk. Teddy Beddy sat up and saw Adam in the distance. "Hey, wait for me!" Teddy Beddy called. But Adam didn't hear him, and he disappeared around the corner. Teddy Beddy raced to the end of the street and looked around. Nothing looked right. None of the houses looked like his house. None of the front yards looked like his front yard. Worst of all, none of the little boys looked like Adam. Poor Teddy Beddy Bear. He was all alone, and he didn't know what to do. So he sat down and he cried. "Well, well," said a voice. "What have we got here?" Teddy Beddy looked up and saw a police officer. "Someone must be looking for you," said the police officer. "I'd better take you home. I wonder where you live." Teddy Beddy didn't know what to say. When Adam went out, his mother always put a note in his pocket with his name and address on it in case he got lost. But she had never thought to pin a note to Teddy Beddy's nightshirt. He started crying even harder. "You look like a brave bear," said the police officer. "I'll take you back to the station house with me. We'll get you safely home." He lifted Teddy Beddy and set him on his shoulder. Together, the two of them went off to the police station. Bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam rode his tricycle into his front yard. Then he climbed off and walked around to the little red wagon. "Come on, Teddy Beddy," he said. "Let's go inside." But Teddy Beddy, he wasn't in the wagon. Adam ran to the sidewalk. "Teddy Beddy Bear," he called. "Where are you?" There was no answer. Adam's mother heard him calling to Teddy Beddy. She and Adam went to the corner of the block. Teddy Beddy was not there. They ran all the way back to the park. But Teddy Beddy, he was nowhere to be seen. Without Teddy Beddy Bear, dinner that night was no fun at all. Adam pushed his green beans around the plate, and he spilled his milk. He didn't even eat his dessert. Apple pie didn't taste good without Teddy Beddy there for company. "I have an idea," Adam's mother said after dinner. She called the police station and let Adam talk to the police officer, who answered. "Have you found a bear?" Adam asked. "His name is Teddy Beddy, and I miss him very much." They had found a bear. That afternoon, another police officer had brought one into the station, but someone would have to come down and pick the bear up. Adam and his father went to the police station. It was so crowded, Adam was afraid that he would never find Teddy Beddy. Adam looked and looked for Teddy Beddy's face. Then, far off on the other side of the room, he saw something familiar. There on the sergeant's desk sat Teddy Beddy Bear. "Oh, Teddy Beddy, I was afraid you'd be lost forever," said Adam. The sergeant helped Teddy Beddy down from the desk. The two friends hugged each other. "From now on, Teddy Beddy," said Adam, "both of us will carry our address. That way, neither of us will ever get lost again." And Teddy Beddy Bear agreed. That was so scary that Teddy Beddy Bear got lost and he couldn't find his way home. And I know that Larry the llama, he was also very scared this morning when he couldn't find his way home. But sometimes when something bad happens, it can teach us a good lesson. And so this teaches us a good lesson about knowing our address and knowing what to do in case of an emergency. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a great time doing a fun art project. So go ahead and get out your piece of paper. And also, I'm going to get my magic box and see if I can't find something that could help us make a super cool map of your house, okay? So, go ahead and help me. Do you think that this pink spoon could help us make a super cool map of your house? No, that would be silly. You can't use a spoon to make a map. What about a sponge? Could a sponge help us make a super cool map of your house? No. What about seeds? I have a friend, Wyatt, who watches the videos. Wyatt, do you think that seeds would help us make a super cool map of your house? No, they wouldn't help at all. Wyatt, what about these crayons? Could these crayons help us make a super cool map of your house? You are so smart. Yes, they could help. So we're going to leave those out in our piece of paper. And I've actually have some special helpers today. Theo and Ivy have sent me a video all the way from Chicago where they've made an emergency map of their house so that if they ever got lost, they could help a police officer find their way home. Go ahead and check out their maps.
That's the conductor, that's the train, those are trees, that's the airport, that's dad, that's mom, that's the entrance to Sonic and McDonald's, that's Robin, that's Ivy, and that's the playground, and that's the train, and that's the road that goes around the house. That's house, that's you, and that's my house, and that's all.
Theo and Ivy, you guys are so awesome. Barbara Bumblebee and I absolutely love your maps. And I want to encourage everybody else to go ahead and do a fun project with their paper and their crayons. Start making a map of where you live. You can include the streets around you. You can include the color of your house, or maybe you're even big enough that you can learn your address too. But this will help you to memorize and know where you live. And that will be a really fun project to do. I also want to tell you before we leave that I would love to have you write a message to me and tell me your name. If you're a friend and you're watching, I'd like to say hello to you like I did when I said hello to Wyatt today. So please include that in the messages. Thank you so much for joining me in story time with Aunt Amber. And again, make sure you come back to Barbara Bumblebee's farm tomorrow. Have a great day, guys.